questions.
The White House has been hammered on the Keystone XL pipeline. It continues to review it. This morning, the House will vote on a bill to declare that review finished and approved. Congressman Tom Cole of Oklahoma grew up in Moore, Oklahoma, not far from where the pipeline's going to run. Congressman, I want to talk to you about Keystone, but first, what's happening in Paris right now? You know this so intimately from the tragedy in your own Oklahoma City. This is something a city can't ever be prepared for.
They really can't be prepared for it, although the French are superbly capable. They have a great intelligence system, great literally national police force through their Department of Interior, and obviously an excellent military. So they're an extremely advanced, capable society, and they're tough, gracious, and generous people, and they'll handle it well. But it'll leave memories and scars, and there'll be tensions for a long time associated with something like this.
Congressman, let's turn to the politics of oil. The Keystone, the bill that would, approve the Keystone pipeline review right now that the State Department is running. There are a lot of problems in America. The House chose to make that House Bill #1 of this session. Why #1?
Well, I think because it's a problem that's been lingering for literally 6 years. This thing could have been approved any time in the last 5 years. It's probably the most studied pipeline in the history of the planet. It's something that we think is important to get done in terms of infrastructure. Frankly, it's important diplomatically. The Canadians are some of our best friends in the world and can't understand why it's okay for us to run the Alaskan pipeline through the length of their country, but somehow inappropriate for them to have a pipeline that transcends our country. So there's diplomatic reasons for it, but largely I think it's become one of these symbolic issues where the two sides have lined up. But I think if you look at the arguments rationally, it's just a no-brainer. This is something that should have been done a long time ago and has been held hostage, we think, largely for political reasons.
Congressman, it does seem like the price of oil hasn't really changed the current economics of what's already online in Canada and coming south, right?
Well, I'll let the people in the market make that decision. The reality is, again, it's not just Canadian oil. There would actually be 100,000 barrels of Bakken oil from North Dakota that would also use this pipeline. And remember, half of it's been built. The part from Oklahoma down to the Gulf Coast is already up and operational. And the only reason why the president's involved in this at all is because it crosses a international border. Normally, this would not be a federal issue. It would be cited within the individual states. By the way, what we're doing leaves local jurisdiction intact, but we simply want to remove the federal barrier to what we think should be an ordinary infrastructure program.
Well, I want to bring in Bob Dahl, our guest host for the Hour of Nuveen Asset Management. The White House cites environmental concerns, environmental costs with building the Keystone pipeline. Is there an economic cost to not building it?
Absolutely, and the Congressman has already reviewed some of that. Look, this thing could have been done a long time ago, 5, 6 years ago, and we would have a better economy as a result of it. I believe the economic benefits more than offset the environmental costs, and now it's a political issue.
Even though we've created workarounds for it, right?
Yeah, we have. I mean, this stuff is being shipped by, by train right now. I feel I'm more skeptical of the economic benefits. This is a limited project. Sometimes I wonder, Congressman, sometimes I wonder whether, are we being really honest with ourselves about what this debate is? The White House talks about, they're still waiting for that court case to be decided in Nebraska, but this is really, the issue behind this pipeline is global warming. That's what we're fighting about by proxy, right?
Well, I think so, although, again, the State Department study suggests this won't add to that at all. And the alternative means of transportation that we're using, which is largely truck and train, is, frankly, not only more polluting, but much more dangerous in terms of potential spills and accidents.
Congressman Cole, I want to rip up the script here. You're a modest guy from Oklahoma. People don't know you're a Fulbright scholar, and you've lectured at the University of London, among other things. Arguably, you're the smartest guy on the block, known as the Capital. I would love your thoughts on the American distinction over religion and over ethnicity with the week we have had in France and with a percolation in Ottawa, in Sydney as well. I would like for you to state the American distinction on religion.
Well, I think our founders recognized very early, from the very beginning, that honestly, freedom of worship was essential, that government should not be involved in limiting it in any way, but should protect it in all its diversity. And, you know, this country has certainly had its share of challenges over religion or over race and ethnicity, but it's moved broadly in the right direction. I think we've actually been the forefront of history on this. Fortunately, our friends in France honestly have similar traditions and similar points of view. We've probably arguably been more successful at absorbing more diverse peoples than anybody else on the planet. It's something unique to the United States in our experience. But again, France has the same set of values that we do, same point of view, and they're going through a difficult time, but they'll get through it.
All right, Congressman Cole, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Tom Cole
you.
From Moore Oklahoma.
Moore, Oklahoma.
Brendan, this comes back to what you commented on Simon Schama, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, in EFT. Just this absolutely unique American difference.
I think that's true. You know, he pointed out that we have these two similar traditions of religious tolerance, both in France and in the U.S. The difference in France that we've been finding out is that you come to America, you can remain what you are and be an American. You come to France, you can be French, but you have to become French culturally in all ways.
Yeah.
Aggressively secular in a way that
What's
America
interesting is the lack of headlines out of France in the last 20 minutes. I mean, you know, with this standoff.
It's a standoff.
Yeah.
It's a standoff that could last 3 hours or 3 days.
3 days.